Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, we talk about all things fandom on this channel. We talk about it in a positive way. If that's something that appeals to you, you know you've come to the right place. We're so happy to have you here today. Today also happens to be Saturday, but it is the last Saturday before St. Patrick's Day. So, I thought we would take a look at 5 movies you could watch this St. Patrick's Day. So, let's jump right into it. So if you're like me, you don't necessarily like those traditional holiday films. However, when it comes to St. Patrick's Day, what exactly is a traditional holiday film? Let's face it, they're far and few between. Sure, you could watch some Disney movie about a leprechaun who's unlucky or this or that, but in terms of the actual St. Patrick's Day movies, not too much to offer. However, you do have the Leprechaun movies if you're up for a good scare, but more on that on Tuesday. So, we're going to take a look at 5 movies you could watch this St. Patrick's Day that also do happen to take place on or around St. Patrick's Day. So we'll start with the earliest one on this list. The earliest one we have on this list is not one that I think a lot of people have heard of, but it is a pretty solid movie if you can stand the old black and white movies. And that is Portrait of Jeannie, also released under the title Tidal Wave. In 1948, it is an American supernatural film directed by William Dietero, and I'm sorry if I mispronounced his name, I am absolutely sure I did, and produced by David O. Selznick. Now, it stars Jennifer Jones, Ethel Barrymore, Lillian Gish, and Joseph Cotton, and its plot follows this New York painter whose chance encounter with a young woman in Central Park changes his life forever. It is, of course, based on the 1940 novella of the same name by Robert Nathan. Now, this movie also won an Oscar for Best Special Effects at the 21st Academy Awards. Special audible effects and Joseph H. August was also nominated for an Academy Award for Best Cinematography. So this movie isn't really a slouch of a movie. It has a good premise. It's kind of one of those that if you enjoy older movies, you might give this one a try. Is it the absolute best? Well, that depends. It is one that's won some awards. So take that how you will. It just happens to be the earliest one we put on this list. I recommend you check it out. Next up is one that I'm sure everyone has seen and everyone has forgotten actually takes place around St. Patrick's Day. So if you need that dose of St. Patrick's Day action movies, you're going to want to check out our next title. And our next title is The Fugitive from 1993. Of course, this is directed by Andrew Davis with a script co-written by Jeb Stuart and David Tully. Now, of course, this is directed by Andrew Davis and based on the 1960s TV series, and that was loosely inspired by a real-life trial of Sam Shepard. The film stars Celia Ward, the always amazing Tommy Lee Jones, and, of course, Harrison Ford in the title role. After being framed for the murder of his wife and sentenced to death, Dr. Kimball, played by Harrison Ford, escapes after a bus crash. And guess who ends up chasing him? Tommy Lee Jones. And this actually is a pretty solid little movie. I was never really one for the original series. It was before my time, and I've never been able to catch the whole thing, and I've never been able to really get into it. But this movie is very good. It is one of the better movies that we're going to have on this list, actually. I'm sure everybody's seen it. I'm sure everybody knows about it. But it also does take place around St. Patrick's Day. So make sure you check it out this year. That brings us to the third film on our list. And the third film on our list, I'm sure not a lot of people have seen. I hadn't seen it until a few years ago, and when I saw it, I was actually very impressed with this movie. Of course, this is State of Grace. State of Grace is a 1990 American neo-noir crime drama directed by Phil Joanou, and I know I mispronounced that name, and starring Sean Penn, Gary Oldman, Ed Harris, John C. Reilly, and Robin Wright. Written by playwright Dennis McIntyre, the film was produced by Ned Dowd, Randy Ostro, and Ron Rothos. The film was not a box office success. It's very similar, I suppose. At least I've seen it get compared to things like Goodfellas and that type of thing. So it's kind of in that vein. In the film, Terry Noonan returns to New York after a long absence. And that's kind of where your story picks up. And I don't want to give away too much because I know there's a lot of people who haven't really seen this movie. I think it's actually pretty solid. I urge you to check it out. Their performances are great. The script is pretty well done. But like I said, it kind of got overshadowed. That's what I've always heard because people compare it to other things. But check it out for yourself. Coming in at number 4 is another one that I'm pretty sure people haven't heard of. And if you haven't heard of this one, you might be forgiven. It's not one that I think a lot of people have heard of. That is Between the Canals. It is a 2010 Irish crime film written and directed by Mark O'Connor. Now, the film follows 3 small-time criminals as they go about their way in Dublin on St. Patrick's Day. One's plotting escape, one's plotting to move up the criminal pecking order, and the other's just kind of happy to be there. It's a very cool little film. It's nice. It's not one that I think everyone's seen, like I said, so I urge you to check this one out. You could do so much worse than to watch this film. The performances, again, are solid. The movie is actually fairly good. It feels like a nice little journey as you're watching it, and you could do a lot worse than to watch this movie this time of year. That brings us to our final film, and our final film is one that is an absolute classic. It's a modern classic that everyone's heard of. Now, whether or not you've seen the movie is a different story, because not everyone has seen this movie, but I guarantee almost 90% of this audience has heard of this movie, and you've heard some people quoting it to you. This is, of course, The Boondock Saints. And it is a 1999 action thriller. It was written and directed by Troy Duffy, making his directorial debut. Sean Patrick Flanery, Norman Reedus, and Willem Dafoe star in this movie. And it follows fraternal Irish brothers, Connor and Murphy, as they become vigilantes after they kill 2 members of the Russian mafia in self-defense. Now, both of them sort of have this epiphany, and together with their best friend, Rocco, they set out on a mission to rid Boston of the criminal underworld in the name of God, while being pursued by FBI Special Agent Paul Smecker. Now, according to what they say, Duffy, who had never written a screenplay before, said that he was actually inspired by personal experience while living with his brother in Los Angeles. Although the script was initially regarded as one of the hottest in Hollywood, this film had a lot of trouble getting to the audience itself. But once it did, this is one of those movies that's talked about, that people know about, that they actually do enjoy. Now, this is cool because it also takes place around St. Patrick's Day, so that makes it a good fit for this list. Now, of course, these are all films you could watch this St. Patrick's Day. Now, on Terrifying Tuesday, I'm going to talk about more movies that you could watch, namely one, and that is a Leprechaun short. I don't want to tell you much more than that. If you know what it is, you'll know what to look for. And if you don't, just tune in on Tuesday and we will be talking about Warwick Davis reprising his role as the Leprechaun. And plus, we'll see if we have any other news to talk to you about when it comes to that franchise. That is where I'm going to leave it off to you guys. I want to hear from each and every one of you. Have you seen these movies? Have you not seen these movies? If you have, what did you think of them? Let me know in the comments below. Make sure you share this video with all of your friends so they can let me know what they thought of them in the comments below. Are there any that I missed? Or any that you think should have been on this list? That's another thing you can let me know. And then, of course, you know what to do. If you like positive content, if you like people just talking positive about the fandoms you love, hit that like button. Tell the algorithm you want more positive content. And if you like our channel personally, you know what to do. Hit that subscribe button and hit that notification bell so you never miss a single video we do. Because friends, at the end of the day, I know it and you know it, fandom is family.